Welcome, my name is Yasmin Saeed and you're watching the English news programme on Somaliland National Television. These are the stories making headlines. The heads of the three Somaliland political parties discussed the forthcoming elections. Somaliland Minister of Finance attended a ceremonial event organised by Sodra Youth Organisation. Police search for possible suspects following attack on Canada's Parliament. The heads of the three Somaliland political parties, accompanied by the chairman of the Academy for Peace and Development, attended a working trip to Nairobi. There they briefed the media in Nairobi about the outcome of their visit to Kenya and the meetings they had with the international donors for Somaliland elections.
The heads of the three Somaliland political parties, accompanied by the chairman of the Academy for Peace and Development, who were for a working trip to Nairobi, briefed the media in Nairobi about their visit to Kenya. The members of the political leaders speaking to the press discussed about their trip to Kenya, where they stated that they concluded the objectives of their visit in a pretty manner. During the stay of the three national political heads in Nairobi, held meetings with international donors expected to fund the forthcoming elections. The chairman of the ruling political party, Musabihi, has briefed the media about the core idea of their visit and said that they came to Nairobi to meet with the international donors in charge to finance Somaliland elections slated for the mid of the next year. And hopefully we discussed with them about those issues in order to overcome all possible challenges that could arise. The chairman of the two national opposition political parties, Mr. Abdurrahman and Faisal, who spoke on their part, discussed about the elections, some of the achievements they made so far in order the forthcoming elections to be held on time.
Somaliland Minister of Finance attended a ceremonial event organised by Sodra, a prominent local youth organisation, to provide scholarships to some of the youth in Somaliland.
The event had an attendance by the Minister of Finance, State Minister for Education and Higher Studies, Vice Minister of Fisheries and Marine Resources, Director General of Education and Higher Studies, and the Chairman of Sodra Youth Organization. The Chairman of Sodra, speaking initially on the occasion, has elaborated the significance of the scholarships they offer to the youth and about the organization, where he stated that Sodra is a developmental, humanitarian and non-partisan youth organization dedicated to mobilize and empower the youth in Somaliland. It's committed to the advocacy, development, capacity building, mobilization and coordination of Somaliland youth and the community as whole. Minister of Finance Abdulaziz Samale discussed about the clear plan by which the government of Somaliland set for the youth in order to partake the developmental initiatives of the youth in the country. Mr. Samale, speaking on the occasion, underlined that the government is committed to work closely with such organizations which carry out such influential developmental youth programs and pledged that they will closely work with them. Meanwhile, the minister stated that they also allocated funds to develop youth programs in the next year budget. State Minister of Education and Higher Studies and the Director General of the same Ministry of Education, speaking in the event, stated that they are excited and welcoming such initiative programs, where they praised the efforts made by Sodra organization for the support and mobilization of Somaliland youth.
Somaliland Police Commissioner Mr. Abdullahi Fadl Iman held a press conference at his office to discuss about the importance of civic registration for the national security.
Mr. Abdullahi Fadl Iman, the Somaliland Police Commissioner, urged the people to take their ID cards and civic registration, where he elaborated how it plays an important role to the security measures. Mr. Fadl further informed the essence of the registration, which he said that it's aimed to establish a clear distinction between citizens and foreigners that expose persons entering and living in the country legally. Apart from exposing illegal, an identification process will enhance security and health in the country. The police commissioner called for the people to keep the stability of the country and closely work with the security forces.
In a press conference held by the chairman of Somaliland Civil Service, Mr. Nuh Sheikh Musa Duale, discussed the importance of civic registration for Somaliland citizens in terms of security, service allocations and the integrity of the nation as a sovereign and independent state.
In a press conference held by the chairman of Somaliland Civil Service, Nuh Sheikh Musa Duale has discussed about the importance of civic registration for Somaliland citizens. Mr. Nuh spoke on Thursday to Somaliland National Television, where he further discussed about the significance of national IDs. The chairman speaking to the media stated the fundamental importance of the national ID in terms of security, service allocations, and integrity of the nation as sovereign independent state, in order to verify anyone who belongs to Somaliland as a native citizen, and in placing all mechanisms of full verifications of the Somalilanders and non-Somalilanders, and said that this is aimed to maximize the consistency and credibility of the national ID management. On the other hand, Mr. Nuh discoursed that anyone who does not receive an ID card will be considered as a foreigner and want to get the mechanisms of the nationalistic resident. Therefore, it's must for everyone to get the civic registration, be public figure or a private. Conclusively, the chairman called for the public to obtain their ID cards and consider it a key issue.
You're still tuned into Somaliland National Television, the only Somali-speaking channel with an English news program. And now for our international headlines in detail. Police in Canada launch a huge security operation, putting Ottawa into lockdown following an attack on Canada's parliament. Police search for possible suspects following attack on Canada's parliament. One soldier was fatally shot and a gunman killed in a double assault on Wednesday, which came only hours after Canada had raised its terror threat level. It was also the second attack on Canada's military personnel this week. One soldier was killed and another injured near Montreal when an Islamic convert ran them down with his car before being shot dead by police. Prime Minister Stephen Harper appeared on television to reassure the nation. He said, "Canada will not be intimidated. In fact, this will lead us to strengthen our resolve and redouble our efforts and those of our national security agencies to take all necessary steps to identify and encounter threats and keep Canada safe here at home. Just as it leads us to strengthen our resolve and redouble our efforts to work with our allies around the world and fight against the terror organizations who brutalize those in other countries with the hope of bringing their savagery to our shores." The day's event unfolded with the shooting of a soldier at a war memorial close to Parliament. He has since been named as Corporal Nathan Cirillo. An individual was filmed getting into a car and driving off. Police believe he may have been the gunman. Minutes later, dozens of shots were fired inside Parliament close to where the Prime Minister had been working. It appears an armed man shot dead in the building was the same gunman at the war memorial. Police have confirmed they are investigating a possible suspect named Michael Zihaf Bibu. 2 people have died after violence erupted over Ebola tests in Sierra Leone. 2 people have died after violence erupted over Ebola tests in Sierra Leone. A riot occurred in Koidu town after a medical team attempted to take a blood sample from an elderly woman suspected to be infected with the virus. The country is one of the 3 hardest hit by the outbreak in West Africa. The World Health Organization is meeting to discuss travel curbs, but not everyone is on board. At a press conference in Beijing, the head of the International Federation of the Red Cross, El Haj SC, told reporters, "Ebola creates a lot of fear and extreme panic that sometimes leads to very irrational types of behavior and measures, like closing borders, cancelling flights, isolating countries, and so on. These are not solutions. The only solution is how can we join our efforts to contain those kind of viruses and and epidemics at their epicenter, right where it starts, to contain there. The hunt for a vaccine has become a race against time. Pharmaceutical giants Johnson & Johnson and GlaxoSmithKline have joined forces to fast-track clinical trials. The World Health Organization hopes to start testing possible vaccines in West Africa by January of next year. That's all the news we have for you today. Thank you for watching, and until next time, goodbye.